Hey Chris, how's it going? I'm just trying something new today to see how it goes with doing some YouTube live. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we get a few more folks in here. Hi there, Yardies. Like I said, I'm just trying YouTube live to see if this is something that we want to do in the future to chat live. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. So, my main topic of conversation today, hopefully, it keeps saying I have poor connection, so I'm not sure if it looks good or not. But basically, my question of the day is I got a delay notice from Sideshow. I'm going to be getting the half scale Joker from Prime One Studio, and I got a delay notice. For those of you that watch my channel, I used to have the Ben Affleck half scale. I did end up selling it. It was a great piece, but it was just a little bit too big for my collection. And so right now, what I'm basically trying to decide is whether I keep that Heath Ledger Joker half scale pre-order or not. So that's basically the idea right now as to whether I should do it or not. It is $2,000, so it's very expensive. And so I'd love to hear your comments below if you want to type them in. Let me know what you think. Should I keep it pre-order? Should I basically, get rid of it? Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of the thought, Yardies. That's what I was kind of thinking. The my collection is basically 1/3 scale, but I do. If you're familiar with my cave at all, I do have. I'm basically in an upstairs bonus room, and I have stairs going up to it. In the landing, there's its own separate spot, and that's kind of the area where I thought that I might end up putting him. So he would, even though he'd be half scale, he would be completely separated basically in that spot, away from the rest of the collection. Now behind me I still have 1/4 scale, and that of course is going to be kind of contained in its own space. One problem that I have back there is that with my Prime One 1/3 scale stuff, I actually may end up putting all of them in this space because it has a little bit more space and a little bit more height. So I thought, well, maybe I could layer the different statues that way, since I'm going to be getting so many of the Prime 1 pieces. But then that also, I love the way these look with the two busts on both sides. So I don't really know for sure if that's something that I will be able to fix in this room, because I'm limited with the space that I have and also the angle of the ceiling. And so that's kind of one of the problems that I run into. But again, with the space at the top of the stairs, I feel like it could be a good separated space. The thing I'm worried the most about with half scale is that, to me, and even my wife at the time when I had the Affleck one, we both kind of felt like it was sort of doll-like, and I don't really know how to explain it. It was kind of like a big Hot Toys, I guess. It was just very, very well done, but I just didn't love the scale. But the problem for me is that Heath Ledger Joker is my favorite Joker of all time. I absolutely love him so much, and I really wanted an iconic Grail piece for me. And I hate that term, but that's what I really wanted. So, but I am worried. We haven't seen very many in-hand photos of the finished product, and the ones I did, I was a little iffy on the paint. And so again, I just don't know if I should keep that pre-order or not. Tell me again, what do you guys think? You think I should keep that pre-order, or do you think I should let it go? Grabber says, let her go. All right. Why do you think that, Grabber? Why do you think I should let that one go? BBB, I really hope that Prime 1 does a 1/3 scale Heath Ledger Joker. They've been real secretive about the licensing on that. They are going to be doing Bane, Catwoman, and also Bale in 1/3 scale. And so I was very hopeful that they would do like the Dark Knight trilogy in 1/3 scale, and that would be amazing. I would love to have like a jacketed version where he's got the jacket open with the grenades. I mean, how cool of a statue would that be? I would really love that if they were able to do something like that. But I just don't know at this point if they have the the license for it. I've personally asked John Pham and Kelvin Loke if if it's a possibility, and they've been very quiet about it. Trying to figure out how to bring the comments back up here. Let's see. Grabber Orange says, you experienced half-scale Batman and weren't too happy before. I think the main reason why I wasn't as happy about him is because I knew that I wanted to have a companion piece to go with him. Like, I didn't want a Superman, I didn't want a Wonder Woman, since I'd only collect Batman-type items. I know that if I got a Heath Ledger Joker, he could stand alone, no doubt in my mind, in that corner. But also the possibility of getting a half-scale Christian Bale is something that I might be interested as well. I'm really hopeful that we'll start seeing something at San Diego Comic-Con this summer, or even possibly at Wonderfest. I think we'll see at least one, whether it's the half scale or the 1/3 scale. I think we're going to see it at some point, but I just don't know. All right, welcome. He just said that he's collecting the DC collectible statues. What statues are you collecting? Is it Wolverhampton? Which statues are you collecting? Are you talking about the DC collectibles, the smaller scale? Grabber says, makes sense. Get it, hold it, and hopefully sell to make your money back if 1/3 comes along. That's another thing about the half scale. It does come in 2 boxes. And it was very affordable for me to get the statue from Sideshow. Like, I think it was like 50 or 60 bucks, which isn't bad for shipping for 2 big, giant, heavy boxes. When I went to sell my Batman, it was incredibly expensive to ship it. And so that is another issue. Not only are you having to pay this large amount for a statue, but if you resell it, either you're going to have to eat some of the shipping cost, or the person that's buying it is going to be paying $200-300 for shipping, which is insane. But it is 2 big boxes, so I'm assuming that Sideshow has a deal with UPS with the volume that they do. They get a big giant discount, which of course saves us money. But it's crazy to me how much it really does cost to ship those things. Well, we don't have to stay on that topic either. If there's any other questions you have for me, feel free to ask them. Again, this is just something I'm trying, something a little bit different to go live, kind of see if it goes, or if not, I might not do it again, but we'll kind of wait and see. It's a way I like to be able to talk to you guys in a little different way. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I am a big giant movie fan. I actually, before I was the Batman statue collector, I also collected a lot of different movie items. I am a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I love those films, especially the first couple. I actually have a prop from At World's End, if you're familiar with that movie at all. there was a ship in the Orient. It was the bad guy's ship, and they had these big giant shields on it. And I actually was able to acquire one of the shields from the ship. So that was something I collected, and some other movie props from those films. I also was a big Star Wars fan. I still am. I used to collect a lot of Star Wars things, and also Marvel. I used to have a lot of the Marvel statues from Sideshow, but I had to find a direction. I was going crazy trying to buy all these pieces, and so that's why I chose Batman, because that's something I really enjoy. All right, holding up the full body. The Dark Knight Returns figure has stirred up a little bit of controversy, I guess, because he is going to be blue, and it's interesting because unless they include the blue gloves or blue boots or blue Batman underwear, they're not going to be able to do it. So in my mind, they are 100% going to end up doing a blue version of The Dark Knight Returns. I think that that's absolutely going to happen. When I have no idea, but they've done variants before. They've done the blue version or the gold versions and things like that, and so I can absolutely see that. But in talking to Kelvin Loke last night of Shock Toys, if you're familiar with him, he pretty much confirmed that this is basically just a bust. They're viewing it as a bust, and while yes, you can put the stuff on the statues themselves, it's meant just to stay on the bust. So that's my answer to that. I do think that they will make a 1/3 scale. Chris, I was never a Power Rangers fan. I watched some episodes growing up. I was born in 1976, so I'm a little bit older, and so I think that generation missed me a little bit. So I was never really a Power Rangers fan, but I'm excited for everybody that enjoyed that film. Let's see, I'm looking at some of the other questions here. Iron Studios Bane versus Bat Dio, and that's from the Nerd Pool. Shapiram's Nerd Pool. I think that's a pretty cool statue. It's going to be small enough that I don't think that it's going to be in my collection. I do think that he is very, very cool. I have one piece that I've always wanted that I never got was the Batman versus Killer Croc statue. I really think that one's awesome, but it's just so small in scale compared to everything else I have. But it reminds me of that. I love those action Batman, the Batman versus the other characters. I think that those statues are very dynamic and very, very cool. And so, if I ever created like a smaller display case of some sort, Batman versus Killer Croc, and maybe that Batman versus Bane. I really like the Batman versus Harley one, where she's in the roller coaster. I think that one is really neat too. Again, my focus is on these larger pieces, so it probably won't happen, but I do think it's a really cool piece. Around 30. Well, thank you very much. A lot of people have always said I look younger than I am. I do work with kids. I work at a elementary school, and so I think that keeps me young. Plus, I get to play with my toys up here every day, so it definitely keeps me young. Let's see what other questions we got here. What do you think the Dark Knight Returns Comic-Con bust will cost? That I would assume would be in the, probably $250, $300, $400 range. Maybe not quite $400. I think that's too much. I can't remember exactly how much the Batman Arkham Knight bust was. I think it was around $250, $300, somewhere in there. They're pretty affordable. When I first saw the Prime 1 stuff, whenever they first unveiled stuff, the cool thing is I actually saw one of the bust first, I think, and I was really excited because I thought, okay, well, I could buy a bust of every single one of these characters, and I'll be able to afford them. I'll be able to do that. And so then they only came out with the one bust. So obviously it didn't go over very well, or I think that they would have made more. But how cool if it just had a Two-Face bust, Harley bust, and you could have displayed them in one long display, especially for those folks that just don't have the room. Again, in my room, I've got the angled ceiling, so it's real. Half the room I have to pull the cabinets in from the wall, which means my space is very limited. But with bust, you could have done, a ton, and I think it would have been really cool. But for whatever reason, Prime One decided not to do those busts. Let's see. If the Joker in his own area, like your two busts, then it'll look fine. Even though I only do life-size busts, I have one-third scale piece, which is Bruce Lee, my idol. So if you love the Joker, then go for it. Thank you, Yardies. I appreciate that. I'm probably leaning toward keeping that pre-order. But again, I'm just really hoping for more in-hand photos first. I think that'll help me convince me, basically. I didn't think it was something you'd get. I agree, it's a smaller scale, so it wouldn't look right in your collection. Love the Bat versus Croc too. I just think that particular statue is amazing. I wish that they would do more larger scale statues like that, and I think that they would sell very well. I think people are liking the larger scale stuff, just in general. But I mean, could you imagine that Killer Croc versus Batman in a large scale piece? I mean, that could be a standalone piece. And I think a lot of people now feel like you have to put all of the statues in one case, the smaller statues in one case. But if you had a big version of that, it'd be awesome. Smaller scale, Hot Toys just announced a cool Arkham Knight figure. I did actually see that posted today on Facebook, and I think it looks great. I used to collect Hot Toys for a while. I had the Jack Sparrow, and I had all the Batman Dark Knight figures. And for some reason, I absolutely love whenever they post photos of them, but whenever I got them in hand, and again, no offense if you collect them, but I personally felt like they looked like dolls to me. So I was a little bit more embarrassed when people came over to look at my collection because they just felt like dolls in person. And so even though I love the head sculpt, I wish that they would do these head sculpts on the statues, because the head sculpts are, the artists that do them are, oh my gosh, they are just phenomenal. They are the best ever. But anyway, my point was that I like them. I think they're really great, but they just weren't for me. So that's when I started going to premium formats, because I just thought that they looked better. I just think that. Let's see what else we got here. Brian O'Rourke, are you talking about the Dark Knight Returns bust? Oh, you're talking about the Joker, the new Sideshow Joker bust, the mask. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, that one's really unique. Some people either really love it or they are mad about it because they call it a bust, which it isn't a bust. It's a mask. It's a mask that can't be worn. So, what do you call that thing? To me, it's just it's basically just an art piece, in my opinion. I just do not see it as a bust at all. It is a possibility of one that I'm going to get. I'm going to pan the camera over here. So this right here is awesome. I absolutely love it. And so I don't know if I would need two of them in my collection. I don't know if that's something I should do or not. But I do think it's really unique. I think it's interesting. And again, I see why people that they call it a bust. I can see why people think that they're upset. They don't have the hair, they don't have the eyes. Yeah, and the Area 51 just said the exposed rod that holds the head. I kind of agree with you. I think that they could have been a little bit more clever. I just don't really know for sure what they were going with there. And I don't know, again, if it's going to be part of a line of other statues. I don't know. It would make more sense to me if they were doing a collection of masks. If they had Bane's mask or whatever, Scarecrow's mask, like that would be pretty neat, and it would be a pretty cool collection. And also, let's see, is it TT Lego? I agree with you on the price. I was expecting a lot more, especially with the amount that statues. I mean, the amount of statues have skyrocketed in the last couple years. Whenever I started, a premium format statue was $200-$300. Now, you're paying $500-$600 for the same type of quality, and I personally don't believe it's all the excuses that they give as to why. I think that they tried it, people pay it, so they're going to keep raising prices. I personally, let me see what. I personally think that they're going to start the price a little bit lower on the Joker bust itself or the mask, and then kind of raise prices as they go if it is a line. I guess we'll kind of wait and see what they're going to do with that. Let's see. Do I have Joker's robber's mask leading up to your stair room? Yes. If you do, then maybe that Joker bust would look okay, but you wouldn't put your main room. So if you've seen my video on the Joker masks, they are going to be, as you come up the stairs to my room, they are there all displayed in that little cove before you enter the Batcave. And that's where I would sit the Joker half scale on top. So if you can kind of visualize that in your mind. So that was kind of my idea for the display. So I'm not getting rid of the masks. I love the masks. They're some of my favorite thing in my collection, even though my family doesn't love them as much. But hey, they're upstairs, so people aren't going to see them all the time anyway. Do you think we'll see the Jim Lee Batman unveiled at San Diego Comic-Con? And what other characters are you excited about in the Jim Lee line? Thanks. Watching all the way from Norway. Wow, Norway, that's awesome. Hello from America. So I do think that they are going to have the Jim Lee Batman. I think that they would be incredibly stupid to not have it. Basically, I did talk to John Pham a couple of, maybe about a month ago, and he assured me that Sideshow is going to have plenty of space for them at San Diego Comic-Con. I actually expect more to be shown at Wonderfest, which is kind of what they did last year. So it is my expectation that they will have Jim Lee this summer. I think that it attracts not only the casual statue fan, but also people love Jim Lee, and if you're a comic book fan, it's going to draw people to it. He is going to be blue, which is really cool. And I think that they are going to do at least 5 of those figures to start with from the Hush line. We've already seen a preview of Huntress, and obviously Batman will come first. But I think if you watch one of my other videos, I think that Huntress will also maybe be previewed already. The sculpts that they previewed already in the digital previews look to be pretty much done. So I think we'll at least see either an unpainted or possibly a painted version of that at San Diego Comic-Con. I would love, man, I would be tempted to get everything that they do for Hush. Hush is by far one of my favorite comic books, and I just think that whatever they touch with Hush will be great. The only thing that bothers me is that they said they wouldn't be doing characters. If they did them in Arkham, they wouldn't do it in the Hush line, which bothers me as well, because I would love to see a Hush Catwoman. I would love to see, a Hush Harley. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I think that people are going to love that line. And so I think that they'll end up doing more pieces than what they're originally saying. Let me see what else we got. I don't want to miss any of your questions. Do I think that they will make a Prime 1 New 52 Batman? Yes, I do. I think that they will absolutely have a Batman to go. Actually, now that I say that, they've already previewed it. It is going to be in the same vein as the Superman, Darkseid, Green Lantern, Superman that they've already unveiled. And I think there's a Flash also they've unveiled. So yes, there will be a Batman. I think that it'll probably be around. I'm going to predict Wonderfest for that one. I think Wonderfest will see the new 52 Batman. We need a new P1 AK Joker statue. Okay. So I went ahead and I did order the Arkham Origins Joker. I do like it a lot. I think it's going to be really good. I worry a little bit about the scale of him compared to some of my other statues over here, and I'll kind of. I know this is backwards, but these are my other statues that I have. I'm a little bit worried about the scale of that Joker. I, for one, am one of the people that really want the Arkham Knight version of him. I just want him standing museum pose like the other ones. He is such a giant part of all three of the Arkham games done by Rocksteady. And so, especially in the Arkham Knight, I just spent the last week playing Arkham Knight. I just beat Scarecrow, and so now I'm doing all the side missions. But man, I forgot how much Joker is in that game. He is in it a lot. And so I absolutely want them to do that. I think that they will do one, especially after they see how many pre-orders have gone in for Arkham Origins. But I think they're going to let sales continue to build a little bit on that before they unveil anything with Joker. But I think that if they're smart, they will do a Arkham Knight Joker. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. What else do we got here? The new Joker mask has a bit of Jack Nicholson character in it. I feel like it's an Arkham Knight Joker type, or Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. I feel like that is the influence of that particular that mask. This one right here, the thing that's always bothered me about this, sorry, it's out of focus here. The one that's always bothered me about this Joker is that his chin was so short. So I wish that they had done the longer chin. And this new mask does have the longer chin. So it bothers me a little bit. It's like, I love the one with the longer chin. But I guess we'll kind of wait and see what they do. Let's see. Area 51, so welcome Canada. Got a worldwide audience today. This is awesome. This is really cool. Let's see. Do you collect 1/6 scale statues? Wow, India. That's awesome. Hello, India. I said just a little bit ago that I used to collect the 1/6 scale. I did collect a little bit of that, and then I got kind of tired of it, so I decided to bump up to 1/4 scale, and that's kind of what got me really started in statue collecting. Do you reckon if you like the new 52 Batman 1/4? You'll consider replacing your Sideshow 1/4 Batman? Great question, and that was from TT Lego. So I absolutely love this collection right here. And I'm sorry, I think it's probably backwards on the screen. But I absolutely love this collection. I have Bane and Killer Croc on pre-order right now, so they'll go on both sides. There's something about this collection, even though I love my Prime 1 stuff so much, there's something about this particular collection, it just looks good together, and it's still a favorite of mine. Even though I'm not loving a lot of the other new products that Sideshow's coming out with the 1/4 scale, and even though I've completely basically gone to 1/3 scale at this point, I still really love this Batman. I think he's really, really amazing. And so I would not be getting any of the 1/4 scale Prime 1 products. Again, my main focus is going to be 1/3. And New 52, I like a lot of their designs, but they're not my favorite. Again, I'm a little bit older, so these designs right here are the designs of my generation. I'm turning 41 in just about 2 weeks, and so this is the Batman look that I grew up with. Even though I guess more often than not, I grew up with the blue version of Batman. But I don't love the blue version of Batman because I'm like, who would fight crime in bright blue colors? You just wouldn't. You would dress in dark colors. So that's just my opinion. Do you miss your half-scale Batman? That was massive. And that's John O'Donovan. John, I do miss it. I really had a hard time whether I wanted to sell it or not. But I just had to do it for the direction of my room. I think if I had a lot bigger space. I actually have a great amount of space in my basement, but I have kids, and so if I put them down there, I would have to have them all enclosed in glass, and I don't have that. And so I wanted to create a space where my kids do come up here and look at the collection, but they don't mess with it. They don't care. And so I didn't want to have it downstairs, but if I did have it downstairs, I would have probably kept the 1/2 scale because I would have had more room and more room to separate it out. But since I have kind of a smaller space here with my collection, I basically wanted to have a certain look going on in my room, and it just took up too much space. And again, that's where I struggle with my Joker, but I do think that I could put the half-scale Joker in the stairwell area when you first come up the stairs. And so I do miss it, but I think it was the right choice for the direction of my collection. And it sounds like John is from, or sorry, Brian. Hold on. We got John and Brian O'Rourke. They're both from Ireland, so that's awesome. Wow, we've had, again, an international crowd. This is really cool. If Prime 1 makes an Alfred, would I get him? Great question. You know, one thing I always love, and you can tell here, I've got Batman surrounded by his villains. I've got Batman over here surrounded by his villains. I don't know if that'll get into focus. I'm kind of bad. I've never really loved Robin and the other good guy characters. I've always loved the stories where Batman goes at it alone and fights crime. And after playing Arkham Knight for a week, whenever Robin and Nightwing helps me battle, it kind of does make me like, oh, Batman does need the help. But I love the stories where Batman's just kind of on his own. And so Alfred, he would be an interesting possibility, but I probably would not get him. Now I could potentially get a Jim Gordon if they come out with a Jim Gordon with like the bat signal. I would be really tempted to do that and set him right beside Batman, because I personally think that Jim Gordon, in my opinion, is Batman's true partner. I know Batman has a lot of other crime-fighting friends and family, but to me, Jim is his best friend, and Jim, they're like this. They go hand in hand in fighting crime. So I probably would get a Jim Gordon. Let's see. Again, we've got India. We've got a shout out to the UK. Vine Weevil, maybe. Thank you very much. Do you think that they will make a Prime 1 or premium format Dark Knight Returns armored Batman? I don't know about that one. Anything's possible. I'll have to think about that one, Zach. I think that's a good question to ask. I think it's possible. Was that a skin in one of the games? I think that's also a big thing, is that they have the license to do all these skins from the games. And if they had a Dark Knight Returns armored Batman from that game, and I don't know if they have had him, but that it would definitely be a possibility in that case. What made me get tired of 1/6 scale? Again, I felt like I collected the Hot Toys, and I thought that they were really good, but again, I just felt like they were dolls to me, and so I just quit collecting that particular scale. I wanted something that made more of a statement, and that's why I went up to 1/4 scale. And as soon as I started collecting those, I think my very first my very first 1/4 scale piece from Sideshow was the original Jack Sparrow, and I ended up getting the second Jack Sparrow as well. But that showed me the quality, and like, oh, there's these great poses, and they have the mixed media and all that stuff. And then they came out with this Joker, which was the first DC piece that they released, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked from that point on. Let's see. Sideshow's rapidly increasing prices are what drove me to Prime 1. I've got 2 of their half scales so far, and I absolutely love them. I'm about to get my first 1/3 scale piece. I'm leaning 90% towards Harley Quinn, and that's Josh B. Josh B, I will say that out of all of my collectibles from Prime 1, I think that Harley Quinn is the best quality of all of them. I come up here in my room, and that's the one I stare at. I just am amazed by the quality. Even my kids love that one the best. There's just something about how they did her. I think she's phenomenal. I also think you can't go wrong with Batman, Arkham Knight, Deathstroke, or Two-Face for that matter. I think looking at them, they're just all so well done. And I would love to know what half-scale pieces you have. I'm assuming maybe Batman and Superman would be my guess. What do you think of them, Josh? Do you like them? Uh, Trent asks, "What are your thoughts on Besta PAX displays?" I really love the big wall displays where people have all of their statues displayed on one big wall. Sometimes it can be a little bit cluttered, in my opinion. And I think that if everybody has that same look, it kind of gets old a little bit. But it is a great way to display your statues in one space. And so I kind of like to do mine in more of a museum type situation. But I know that not everybody has the ability to do that. Statue collecting takes up a lot of room and a lot of space, and not everybody has separate space for them. And so, it's one of those things where I like the look of them, but it's something that I probably would never display them personally, just because I like to have them out in the open, like I do with my collection here. Let's see. Somebody asked about with Prime 1, it seems like you get your money's worth. I do feel like you get your money's worth. Now, we're talking about a great deal of money when it comes to Prime 1. It is expensive. There's no question about that. But I do feel like you get your money's worth. I feel like with Sideshow, a lot of their products are still really great, but they're getting so expensive. Like I have my Batman, Dark Knight Batman, and Joker over there. The Heath Ledger Joker, the 1/4 scale. They are so tiny, but they're $400 or $500, and they're so incredibly small. So I don't feel like you get your money's worth in that case. Whereas Prime 1, yep, you're spending $900 on a statue, or in some cases like $1,300 for Mr. Freeze, which is insane. But it has a giant presence to it. And so I think that it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, because it's just there's so much size to them. I think they look really good. So to me, the money's worth it there. John O'Donovan says Robin doesn't exist in my world either, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. I always feel bad. I'm like, I'm like the only one that doesn't love Robin, but I'm glad that other people feel that way too. TT Lego asked about the improvement in paint and quality. I would say absolutely. I think that the paint is second to none on all these Prime 1 products. Now, are they 100% perfect? No. There's going to be people out there that nitpick about everything. They're like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 and there better not be one paint bleed. Well, it happens. Your statues are not going to be perfect. These are still painted by people. There's going to be errors. But compared to Sideshow products, I feel like there's so much more paint depth. There's so much more detail that I absolutely feel like Prime 1 is blowing everybody else out of the water. Now, I have never owned any other pieces other than Sideshow or Prime 1, so I can't say about XM or some of those other companies, but I can say that Prime 1 has really impressed me with the paint. And if you've seen some of my recent reviews on Two-Face or Harley Quinn, I suggest going back and watching those because the paint is just phenomenal. Are there areas of small bleeds here and there? I've had a couple, but not noticeable certainly. And it's just, I especially like the skin texture. I'm just absolutely amazed by the skin texture. Just amazing paint. All right, Josh B. So Josh B, you have the half-scale Batman and Superman. Love them. It's awesome. I think that they look really, really good together. Again, I don't collect anything but Batman, so if I collected this, just superheroes in general, I probably would have loved to have that Superman as well. It turned out really good, I think. Would you add any 1/4 scale Batmans to the collection? Area 51, I thought for a little while, I really wanted to get the Prime 1 Arkham Knight Batmobile, and then I saw the price and the size of it. I thought that would be, since I have such a long, narrow room, I wanted to put something in the middle of the room. And if you've watched my channel, you saw that I put my half-scale Ben Affleck Batman in that space, but he kind of blocked the view of the room. And that I tried to justify it, but it just really wasn't my thing. So basically, what I wanted to do then is I thought, well, maybe if I put a flat profiled item like the Batmobile, it wouldn't block the view and I could still have it in the middle. It's still on my bucket list of things that I would like to do since I have so many Arkham Knight pieces. And I actually like the Arkham Knight Batmobile. I think it's a really cool looking Batmobile. I like it better than the Batman versus Superman Batmobile. Of course, it's more expensive, of course, but that's something that I might consider doing is getting that Batmobile. Let's see. Brian O'Rourke says XM is amazing. I have the the Samurai, Batman Samurai. That I think it's a really cool piece. I like the idea of the Batman Samurai line, and I really like the Catwoman. I think her head sculpt is amazing. Head sculpts to me are probably the most important thing. I think that if you have a good head sculpt, it will sell a statue. And so I do like the Catwoman. It's probably not a line that I would get, but I really like that Catwoman. I think she's just absolutely stunning, and I'm anxious to see her produced. Tempted to buy any of the XM? Yeah, again, I would maybe the Catwoman on the motorcycle. I think is really cool. Her head sculpt, love it, just love it. TT Lego says, I know since you ordered the Suicide Squad Harley, have you ordered the Prime 1 Ben Affleck Batman? What's the piece I want to pull? That's the piece he wants to pull the trigger on. So I have 2 statues in my cart right now, and I've had one of the statues in my cart for about 4 or 5 months. That is the Prime 1 Arkham Knight Azrael. I really like him. I just love him. I've justified whether he's a good guy or bad guy. Actually, I just did the Azrael mission on the game yesterday, and I chose to kill Batman. So in my mind, he's a villain. I'm going to make him a villain, so he would fit with my villains line. So I have him in my cart, and I also have the Ben Affleck Suicide Squad Batman as well in my cart. I have the Harley Quinn on pre-order. I'm hoping that they improve her head sculpt just a little bit, and I think that if they do, I would probably get the Ben Affleck Batman. There's something about the pose that's it's a little bit wonky to me. I don't know what it is. I hate the second head sculpt. I would never use the respirator head sculpt. So, it would just be Ben Affleck's head sculpt for me, and I think that one looks good. I would love to see it in person. I'm hoping that they have him at San Diego Comic-Con. I have a special correspondent that's going to be sending me video from that event. I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned for all of that. So I'll be bringing you footage, but I'm hoping that I get a better idea of whether I want that statue or not. But basically, here's what I'm doing. I have those 2 items in my cart because I love them both, but what I think I'm probably going to do is I'm going to wait until after July, after Wonderfest is over, after San Diego Comic-Con is over, and then make my decisions from there. Because I think there's going to be a lot of other pieces that I might want to spend my money on ahead of these ones that we've seen already. I know for a fact that Arkham Knight Catwoman is coming up, and that's going to be an instant order for me as far as I'm concerned. But I know that there's going to be other surprises, and so I might want to spend the money on those. Probably too big. Let's see. Probably too big to produce, but a 1/3 scale Prime 1 Bat Signal add-on would be neat. Yeah, Vine, it would be amazing. I would absolutely love a Bat Signal to go with my 1/3 scale collection. It would be absolutely massive. I'd hate to think of the cost of it, but it would be awesome to have. Again, even if they had like a broken one or half of one or something with Jim Gordon standing next to it, I think would be really cool. All right, so TT Lego says, for me, it's either that or waiting for the release of Justice League, just since they have teased the Ben Affleck head sculpt. I'm excited for Justice League. I hope the movie does really well. Really, I just want it to do well so we get our Batman film, because I absolutely, again, just love Batman when he's on his own. And so the Justice League line, that's something I would not collect, not even a little bit. But I know a lot of people are really excited about that, having those other characters in their collection, and I'm assuming that they will do all of them. Flash, Wonder Woman, for sure, Aquaman, everybody. And so I think that the Ben Affleck one will be really pretty amazing, especially with that head sculpt. but I don't love the new suit. I mean, if they did the traditional Batman versus Superman type suit, I would maybe consider that instead of the Suicide Squad one. I'd have to see it, especially just knowing that they have the great Ben Affleck head sculpt to go with it. So I'm optimistic about that. But if they do that, I don't even know what that suit's called in the new movie, where that like the I don't know. It looks like the guy from Watchmen to me. So I don't know exactly what they'll do with that, but if it's a good statue, I might consider that one. So after Affleck, who would you like to see step into the Batman suit? Woof, that is a tough one. I really liked Ben Affleck in the role. I really enjoyed Christian Bale. I loved those movies, but I think that Ben Affleck brings a whole different attitude to the movie. I loved the sequences in Batman versus Superman where Batman's in the warehouse and it looks like an Arkham game and he's just going to town on those guys. That's what I want from a Batman movie. I showed my wife the other day, I showed her clips of Arkham Knight. Actually, it was Arkham Origins where Batman was fighting Deathstroke. And if you've seen that, it's just amazing. All of those cinematic cuts are amazing. That is what I want from a Batman movie. And so I'm happy. I'm fine with Ben Affleck stepping into that role, but I want a better direction for him to go in. But I think that we got a little taste of what I want from a Batman movie, and that warehouse scene again. That's exactly what I think most of us that love Batman, they loved that scene probably much more than any of the Batman fighting Superman stuff. That's just my opinion. All right, so Area 51, who would you want to see step into that role? I'll turn it back on you and see what you say. See, Jeff. Jeff, also thank you for all your comments on the channel. I really appreciate it. He just pre-ordered the Joker Face of Insanity, so he is psyched, and also the Joker Prime 1 statue. That's awesome. So you would definitely say yes. Obviously, you're as big of a Joker fan as I am. Joker is by far my favorite character in the Batman universe. I absolutely love him, and so thank you for saying yes to that. That makes me feel good. Let's see. Marvel Studios needs to give us a good Batman movie with Ben Affleck. Who was it? What was the director that directed a lot of the Marvel movies? I can't think of his name right now. But he's going to direct the Batgirl movie for DC, for Warner Brothers. The name is escaping me now. I know he did the Avengers. But anyway, he's going to be directing some DC movies, and I'm really thrilled about that. I think that that's a great thing. And if he could get a little piece of Batman going on, I know the director, yes, Josh Whedon. Thank you very much. He's going to be directing the Batgirl movie, and so thank you, Area 51. I appreciate that. And Close Combat 27. Thank you very much. I think that he might be able to infuse some of what worked for Marvel so well into the DC universe. The director that did the Planet of the Apes movies, or at least this last one, he's going to be apparently directing the Batman movie with Ben Affleck whenever it comes out. And so I'm optimistic. I think especially with Wonder Woman, people in general really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was incredibly slow. I think that they could have taken out half that movie and we would have been fine. But I really like Gal Gadot. I think she was phenomenal in that role. It just felt a little lighter toned. It wasn't so incredibly dark and grimy. Now I like dark and grimy. That's what I loved about The Dark Knight. But I feel like they hopefully will be in the right direction going forward. Because I was disappointed in Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad. There were elements of it that I loved, but I think in general, I just thought some of it was a big stinker. All right, I do like Ben Affleck for sure, but I think Charlie Hunnam would do it justice. I'm not sure who he is. I'll have to look him up. Yeah, Josh took over for Zack Snyder. He is doing post-production and reshoots, actually. It sounds like there are, unfortunately, quite a bit of reshoots, which that bothers me a little bit. I don't know. I'm optimistic that movie will turn out great. I think that they have learned their lessons, and that's I think why all these reshoots are being done. But I don't care if there's reshoots. If it makes it a better movie, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All right, Max said, "Did you see the new Wonder Woman movie? What are your thoughts?" Again, I thought it was good. I thought it was incredibly long, too long. It could have been half the length, but I thought it was good. I really liked Gal Gadot. Yeah. Do you have my collection insured? I'm actually in the process of doing that right now. It's a little bit difficult to try to prove exactly how much each one of these things costs in general, and so, but I am going through that process right now. I kind of waited. I was going to do it about a year ago, but maybe a little bit more than that, but I waited because I was selling off so many of my old pieces. I sold off all my old Marvel pieces and some of my other busts. So that's something I'm definitely doing, I'm in the process right now. But we've talked to my insurance agent, and he's advised how to go about doing all that. All right, it says reshoots are a good thing. Then they see what they are doing wrong and actually try to fix it instead of putting the movie out there for a quick crash grab. Again, I think that reshoots are fine. The thing that bothered me most about when they did the DC Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad, it sounded like there were just too many chefs in the kitchen, and that's what muddied up the film. I would have loved to see what just the original versions of these films are. But I just don't know. I don't know what they'll do going forward, but reshoots, they don't bother me anymore. Hey, Richard Melbourne's here. How's it going, Richard? Nice to see you, sir. Richard's one of our Patreons, so I want to give a shout out to him. Thank you very much for supporting the channel that way. I absolutely appreciate that, Richard. Let's see. Do you miss your Prime 1 Batfleck? Yes, I do. Mac, thank you for joining us. That's actually what I've been talking about today, whether I should basically get rid of my pre-order since it was delayed again. It's now going to be July, August. It keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. And so I'm just a little bit worried because it'll be my only half-scale piece, probably period, when most of my collection is 1/3 scale. So what do I do? Richard, actually, I am now 52, almost 53 minutes into this chat. So sorry you missed the beginning, but it'll be on my channel, I think. It's the first time I've done, excuse me, the first time I've ever done Facebook Live, or not Facebook Live, this is YouTube Live. And so I've never done it before. So I think it just saves it to the channel, I believe. So you'll be able to watch what we talk about. All right. We have seen many versions of the Joker evolution. If it were up to you, what would the next version of the Joker be? I don't know. I guess I just love the maniacal Joker version. The whole fake skin Joker, that really didn't fly with me very much. It was okay. The story was good. But I just like any classic Joker where he is trying to create chaos. And I know it's hard at this point to come up with new original ideas for him because he's kind of done everything. But as long as he's still around, he to me is the yin to the yang of Batman, and I just absolutely love the Joker in every way. And I'll read whatever version they put out out for him. Jeff says he's very interested in what they do with the Harley Quinn the standalone movie. Also, if they add some of the Gotham City Sirens too. I think that they will, Jeff. I think that they will absolutely add some of those elements because she'll obviously be in the Gotham City Sirens. So I could see them doing something where they kind of preview the Sirens as well. But I'm excited about that. Richard says, toddler going mental. Sorry. Hey, I understand. I've got 2 kids of my own. I played the Injustice 2 games. I actually have not. I think that Prime 1 has the license for Injustice, so be on the lookout for that. I've seen clips of Injustice 2, and I think it looks phenomenal. I want a 1/4 scale 1966 Joker to go with Adam West. Richard, I think that they will probably do one. I think that especially with the recent passing of Adam West, unfortunately, did everybody see the bat signal on the building from L.A. Last night? I thought that was really, really cool. But anyway, I think that they will continue to do that line. I don't know how well it's sold. I think the pieces are still available for it, but I do think that they would be crazy if they didn't do a Cesar Romero Joker. What new Prime 1 statues do you think that they will announce at Comic-Con? I think that we're definitely going to see a Jim Lee Batman. I think that we are going to see a Catwoman. I think we're going to maybe see a Penguin. I'm hoping from the Arkham games. I think we're going to see some other lines there too, because I think they've already said they're going to slow down the Arkham line, so I think we'll probably see less of that and more of new stuff. New lines that they're doing. I think we might see the Justice League. I think this would be an opportune time for them to show off some Justice League pieces. I think they're going to show off some Hush pieces. And I think maybe they've teased like Lobo and the Swamp Thing and things like that. I think that they need to show some of those off, but some of those might be at Wonderfest, which is like a week or two later. Let's see. Hush line for me, absolutely, Richard. The Hush line I'm so excited about. I think it'll be awesome. That's one of my favorite comic books. Actually, my favorite comic book is probably The Long Halloween. I absolutely love that book, but Hush is probably a close second, along with The Killing Joke, of course. Let's see. Richard says, I hope they have the face painted facial hair. Oh, yeah, absolutely. On Cesar Romero, they'd have to have the mustache. I mean, that was the big deal. Zachary says, why Hush? Are you saying you don't like Hush? Let me know, Zach. We need a Riddler. Richard, what Riddler would you want it from? Riddler from like the 60s series? Jim Carrey. Well, I would have put it past him, but I just don't see them doing a Jim Carrey one. But I would love an Arkham Knight Riddler. I think that'd be really cool. Whoever makes there's a company that makes the little it's like 1/10 scale Arkham Knight. I saw him preview today, but there's a Riddler with he's got his question mark stick from Arkham Knight, and it looks really good. Yeah, Frank would be another great one for the old 60s series. I think that would be neat. Miller Batman series as well as Superman needs to be done. I could see them doing a Superman. It'd be dumb if they didn't. But let's see, Zach. Did Zach ever answer? Did you ever say why? Did you not like Hush, Zach? I do like Hush storyline. Just curious why that storyline. I think it's another one of the storylines that feature all the villains, and I love that. And it was also introducing kind of a new character, and I thought that was really neat. I think it's not necessarily just the story that I love, but I love the art. I love Jim Lee's art style. I think he makes people look amazing. And so I guess it's probably more about the art for me than the actual story, but I love that they included all the villains. I've always loved the stories where Batman goes through each and every villain throughout the story. I love that, and that's kind of the way Hush felt for me. Do you like the Rebirth Batman costume? I don't know much about Rebirth. I think I've only read one graphic novel from it. I don't like the gold emblem. I don't even like this gold, this yellow emblem very much. I like just the standard black emblem. Again, I can't imagine Batman if he was ever a real life character, if he would ever have bright, flashy colors. So a gold emblem to me doesn't make sense. Now I know in a lot of the references to the films and the comics that he tries to draw attention to that, so people will shoot him in his most protected area. So I guess I get that part, but the gold for me, I just don't know if I love it. But I haven't read enough of the stories yet to truly know. If there's any that you recommend I read, please let me know. I think Jim Lee's needs to be fixed a bit. It reminds me of the Arkham Batman. You know, some people, that's Bronx. I agree with that. There's something about the pose. I think the pose is fine, but something about the face, it just doesn't quite, it's just not quite there. Again, once we see it painted, I think it could be real different. We'll kind of have to wait and see, but I definitely see what you're saying about that. Prime 1 is putting out, this is PJ Lamas. Prime 1 is putting out some awesome stuff now. Anything in the future for you besides Batman? Being the Batman statue collector, I have to stay focused on Batman items. There are a billion other statues that I would like to be collecting right now. But I have to stay focused. If these statues, they cost so much money, I have to save a big part of my earnings and things I sell on the side and things like this in order to afford these statues. And so I have to really stay focused, even though there's lots of other ones that I'd love to have. All right, guys, so I actually have to get my kids somewhere right now. I didn't realize it's already been over an hour. I thank you so very much for watching this particular YouTube live. Let me know in your comments if you want me to do this again and do this format every once in a while. It's just a different way. I love being able to talk back and forth with you guys, answer your questions this way. And so if it's something that you like, please let me know. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I absolutely love doing this every single day. I love doing it more. And so thank you very much. I appreciate all the yeses. Do more. Awesome. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I will try to do these from time to time. And again, I think it should be posted on my regular channel, just in the normal spot. So again, I thank you so very much for watching. This has been the Batman Statue Collector, and as always, I'll see you in the Batcave.